Hi everyone, it's Nicole here again. Today I'm going to share with you a quick tutorial on how to make this tiny little 3x4 size Polaroid book. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take out a bunch of supplies that we need to make this 3x4 little mini album. So what we have are some 3x4 bite-sized bits, or bit-sized bites, sorry, journaling cards and quote cards. I've also cut down some 3x4 pieces of patterned paper. You can use anything from your scrap pile, would be great for this project. The whole idea around making this mini album is based on these new placemats by Jillibean Soup, and these are the ones that we will be using. If you have one, this project is perfect. Me, I want to save that for a special other project I have in mind, so I actually went ahead and used my Jillibean Soup cameo file and cut the exact same size 3x4 Polaroid frames. So I have cut probably one Polaroid for each of my photos, and these are the bit-sized bites that I was talking about earlier that I cut a lot down to the 3x4 size, and they fit just perfectly. So what kind of supplies you'd need for this project? Well, there's lots of things. The first thing I grabbed were these new Jillibean Soup stickers. What I like about them is there's words and quotes and pictures on them, as well as the letters. Some soup labels and pea pod shapes as well are perfect. I grabbed some corrugated shapes and, things like that. Things that are flat and not too bulky. So what I went ahead and I have done first is I've cut out, like I said, the Polaroid shapes. And what I've done to most of them is I've embellished them. On this one here, I've just added some stickers and stitching. And on some of them, you can see I've just added some mist. This is a silver mist. I think it's Color Shine that I used. And so I took a look at my photos and just went ahead and embellished as properly. So the easiest way to get this project completed so it's not going to take you forever, is to line up your pictures and choose some journaling cards or pieces, even just blank pieces of pattern paper to match up with them for your book. So I knew I wanted lots of journaling, which is why I have lots of those bit-sized bites, those cards in there. But as you can see, I have a lot of different Polaroid shapes, and these are slightly different than the placemats, but they were printed from the Jillibean Soup online silhouette store, so they have different things on the bottom of them, I guess you could say, different cutouts. So then you line all your cards back up, and you stack them from back of your book all the way through to the front. And really, once you do this, the majority of your work is done for your book. It's just a matter of assembling, which is what I'm going to show you how to do now. So you can go ahead and embellish all those cards as much as you want. The one thing is you want to have an even number of cards. I should mention that now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to show you how I did do one of those cards. And again, you can see here it is 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall. So if you're sizing in your cameo, that is what you're going to need. So, and you can see the difference between the normal and the spritzed ones. And this is just a nice little variation. So okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start with the base of my album. So what you do is you take a piece of paper, pattern paper or cardstock, and you measure it at 4-inch intervals. And you just trim it on your trimmer. So you should get 3 pieces out of a 12 by 12, obviously. And again, depending on how many photos you use and pieces of pattern paper and the bit-sized bites, you're going to need more of those pieces of paper, but you'll get the general idea. So you take your 4-inch wide strip, 4 by 12-inch wide strip of paper, and you're going to score it. You're going to score it on the back at 3 inches and at 9 inches. And then you're going to flip it over top and do it again at the 6-inch mark. So if you don't have a scoreboard, you could definitely use your paper trimmer, and instead of the knife blade, you could use a bone folder and score it at those marks. And you just kind of fold it up neatly, like in an accordion style. So you're going to need to do that a few times, again, depending on how many photos and journaling cards you've chosen. So the next key is to line them up and adhere them together. Now, as you can see, I'm going to use some washi tape. And I don't remember what kind of washi tape that is, to be honest with you. That could be Bella Boulevard washi tape, but I'm really not sure. So at this point, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you choose a color that you're comfortable seeing the outside with. because little bits of it will show on the front of your book, in between your cards when it's folded, and it'll show on the back for sure. So be careful that you choose something you're comfortable with. And if you don't have washi tape or fabric tape, that's fine. You could definitely use a piece, 1.5 inch strip of piece of paper with adhesive on the back. Just make sure you do both sides to make sure that it's pretty stable. So I'm just going to go ahead now and adhere those two folded pieces together. And, you know, if you can't get them to line up properly, you'll be able to refold it after the fact anyway. Just want to stick it down, and what I did was I ended up, sticking it down and then flipping the book up and wrapping the tape all the way around. And I just found that that extra little bit of tape on both sides helped keep it the book a little more stable. So you're going to want to do that, if you know you have a couple different pieces to line up together, you can do that. Just make sure you crease it on the taped edge as you go along. And again, like I said, if you think, oh, I folded it wrong, you can just fold it back over itself. And that's it. One thing I didn't do is I didn't do a whole bunch all at once. You can see here I've actually started my album already. And I did a few 2 4-inch pieces side by side. And I just liked working in the smaller, amount, not so big. So that is why I just did little bits at a time. Okay. So here's what I've already started, and I'm just going to go ahead now and just quickly show you how I put my Polaroid and pattern paper together. So I grab my embellished frame and I add a lot of adhesive to the back of it because you don't want this to fall off. And I'm just going to add it to my 3 by 4 inch piece of pattern paper. And then I'm going to add my photo into the middle of the frame. The actual middle of the frame, I believe, is 3 by 3 inches. Or not 3 by 3, sorry, 2.5 by 2.5 inches. So if you were thinking of trimming something down, you could do that, or you could lie your frame right over your photo if that's what you choose. And I'm just trimming off any little bits of edges if I cut my paper a little bit larger than 3 by 4. I'm just going to add my photo, and then that one is done, I believe, and ready to go into the book. So there's one. I'm just going to do one more quickly. And for this one, I'm just going to speed it up, and I end up adding some stickers and soup labels, and I grab out my sewing machine, and I do all that. I like to do all that stuff before I put it in the book because I don't want that to show on the back side of my album. So if you, like I said, decorate all your cards ahead of time, then you're ready to go. So here I am just putting it onto the album, and you can see I've just folded it over on itself and trimmed off the edges, and I've just stuck it in there side by side. And so I'm just going to keep on going. I'm just going to take my stack that I've done up before, and I'm just going to keep adding them to my book. And as you go along, if you find it's not lining up properly, don't worry about just trimming off. It'll just be a couple millimeters of overhang, and I don't care, so I just trimmed off the edges. And I'm just going to speed it up now and just go all the way to the end. Now you can see here I'm nearing a piece, but I have a lot more to go actually. So I'm going to go grab another piece of cardstock again that I've already scored, and I'm going to add that washi tape to join it. And like I said before, it's just a lot easier to work in the smaller group than to have a whole row of long pieces of paper. I just found that that was too much for me to manage when I attempted to do that in the beginning, but it didn't work out for me. So to me, this is just easier to manage. So, and yeah, don't use a whole lot of washi tape if you don't have to, because it just gets bundled up, just like here. So I'm just gonna seal that together, rip it off, and it doesn't matter to me that it doesn't line up because that's gonna be all covered up later on. And I'm just going to fold it, and now I'm ready to go on with more journaling cards and more photos. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed up the video and let that happen. Okay, so now I'm at the end of my book. So I've got all my Polaroids and my journaling cards on my accordion thing, and you can see here I wasn't joking when I said I had a lot of photos, and I'm going to add my journaling later, so, but you get the idea, and it can stand up. So all that's really left to do is add a cover. So what I've done is I've just cut a shape out on my, and it's another Jillibean Soup sunburst shape. It's actually for a card, but I did that in, it's 3¼ wide by 4¼ tall, and I've cut 2 pieces of paper that size. So one will be for my front, one will be for my back. And I've just gone ahead and decorated my front. You can see with the corrugated sun, and an epoxy button, some sequins, some alpha beans, and a soup label. And I've just gone ahead and decorated however I wanted to do it. So you can flip it over and make sure you put paper or cardstock on the back. So that's my cover, all summery. And then the back I left pretty plain, actually. That's pretty boring, I guess. But so yeah, there you go. So you just flip it over, being mindful of which way the cover is going. And you're going to adhere your first page onto that cover. Now, please don't do what I did here and use just a bunch of adhesive. What you should use is, what I'm going to go back and do is add some terrifically tacky tape or some really, really thick adhesive that, you know, even a whole bunch of glue dots would be fine, because the adhesive I use is good, but it won't stick long term like you probably want it to. So again, see what I'm doing? Don't do that. Use something better than what I did for sure. Just for a longer term solution. And you know it's going to be manhandled a bit, so you want to really be cautious of that. So then you just open up your back page, and your back page is going to lie right onto the back cover. And then I'm just going to stand it up on itself and push down really, really hard, and you can see how thick my book is. And you're done. So there's the cover. And if you don't want it, you know, you can flip it open. It really flips pretty fast. And the good thing is you can also just stand it up, and it stands pretty good because, especially in mine, it's pretty heavy. It's got a lot of photos. It stands up pretty good. It's not floppy. And that's it. So here's a couple close-ups of the inside of my book. I hope you like this project. It was really easy to do, but you really need to make sure that you plan in advance doing your Polaroid cards and your decorating before you get started. But the actual assembly is pretty quick. So I hope you liked this Trendy Tuesdays tutorial, and let me know at the end of this post if there's anything you'd like to have in one of these tutorial videos, and any feedback. And please share your projects with us if you've made this mini book on our Facebook page, or link it up to our blog post. Thank you.